Well, hello there. This is Marco, and welcome to the Marco Files. Today I'm going to talk about the Allurion Balloon, the few days before I got it, when I got it, and my experience after I got it. I'm going to talk to you about everything, including the research, the phone consult, sending in my deposit, and including the procedure itself. Welcome to my channel. I'm a 56-year-old single male who talks about weight loss, money, life lessons, and eyewear. If any of this interests you, would you kindly like and subscribe? I'd really appreciate it. So let's get started. First, I'll say I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist. I'm just sharing with you my personal experience. As I previously stated, I've tried all sorts of diets, even some medications. Nothing worked all that well for me, and I was your standard yo-yo dieter. I have friends who got bariatric surgery. That's where they go in and make your stomach smaller, kind of simply put, and I considered it, but that wasn't really for me. That kind of surgery to me changes your whole life, changes the way you live your life basically for the rest of your life, and I didn't want to make those kind of changes. And part of what I mean by that, this may sound silly, I have very few vices. One of my vices is Coke Zero, and I love my Coke Zero. And when you've had the bariatric surgery, you're not supposed to drink carbonated drinks. So had I had the bariatric surgery, I would have to give that up entirely. I was told for the balloon that I could continue drinking Coke Zero in moderation. However, I've decided to give it up for the length of the balloon. So the balloon is gonna be in my stomach for just about 4 months or so. When that's gone, I'll slowly reintroduce Coke Zero, and I'll get to have my vice back. Anyways, I came across the Allurion Balloon sometime in 2023, I believe. I can't recall where I saw it first, but it definitely piqued my interest. I started doing my research and even started talking to or communicating with a clinic in Calgary, that's about 7 hours away, about having this procedure done. They gave me some basic information, and at the time I did think they were the closest clinic to me. My issue was at the time I didn't have the money. So I was looking at about $6,000 or $7,000 here in Canada for that procedure, and I really didn't have $6,000 or $7,000 just kicking around. So I started saving and doing some casual research. While I did find some people who had negative experiences with the balloon, I think it was people who went in with the wrong attitude. I believe the balloon isn't a magic pill. Technically it is a bit of a pill, that I'll get into after, but it's not a magic pill. You can't just take it and expect to lose a bunch of weight. It helps you. It basically fills up your stomach, or partially fills up your stomach, so when you do eat, you eat less. On top of that, you still need diet and exercise. You still got to eat right, and you still have to exercise. So I know you can do that without the balloon. Some people can just have the willpower to just do diet and exercise, and they can lose the weight. I've tried many times. I figured this at least would give me a hand. As the time got closer and I had my funds needed to pay for the procedure, I contacted the clinic in Calgary and found out they were no longer doing the procedure. Great. So then I used my old friend Google, found a clinic in Edmonton, Slim Restore, and they were doing the procedure in Edmonton, which for me is great because Edmonton's closer. It's only about a 4.5-hour drive as opposed to about a 7-hour drive. So I spoke with them, and I did a phone consult with them, and they answered all my questions. Anything I was worried about, any little concern that I had, they were quick to answer. They seemed very competent, and I decided to go ahead with the procedure. So I live in Grande Prairie, Alberta. To my knowledge, nobody in Grande Prairie, Alberta, I mean, we're a smaller city, only about 70,000 people, but nobody here does the procedure, as far as I know. At least at the time of this, as far as I know. Edmonton is about a 4.5-hour drive away. I figured I'd make a couple days of it. They do say it's a quick procedure and you're in and out the same day. It's very simple. No, they don't put you to sleep or anything. So I figured I'd give it a go. I contacted Slim Restore, and as I said, my first step was the phone consultation. They answered all my questions, and then I set up a date for the procedure, and I started making my payments. As the day got close, the doctor who's going to be performing the procedure actually sent some prescriptions to my pharmacy here in Grande Prairie, and I picked up those prescriptions. It's basically a lot of anti-nausea medication, because I guess some people do experience a lot of nausea when they first have it done, and then a couple pills for anxiety just for the night before, because I guess they do realize people are getting quite anxious the night before. So they gave me just a couple pills, which I only used one the night before just to relax and calm me. So pills in hand, we hopped in the car, drove down to Edmonton the night before, or the day before, spent the day just relaxing, doing a bit of shopping, and having a nice big meal, I guess, sort of my last big meal for a while, and then just relax for the rest of the day. I had to stop eating by 9 p.m. because 9 a.m. was my procedure. You're not supposed to eat anything for the 12 hours before. Even drinking, you're supposed to limit yourself. I didn't have any soft drinks or anything after that. I just had a little bit of water when I got really dry. And that was it. So went to sleep, woke up the next morning, hopped in the car, and my friend drove me to the procedure. I got to the clinic and registered. Before long, I was taken into a room to change. I changed into a hospital gown, and shortly after that, they took me into a room. I met the doctor and his assistants. They showed me the scale that they're going to give me. They give you a weigh scale, and the weigh scale actually talks to the Allurion app that you download onto your phone. So I hopped onto the scale, and yeah, believe it or not, I was hit 260 pounds, which is a little bit higher than I had been lately. I was usually in the 245, 255 range, so let's say 250, but maybe it was a big meal I had, or I don't know, but I registered at about 260. So then what they do is they give you a glass of water, and then they give you this kind of pill that's attached to a tube. So while you're drinking the water out of one side of your mouth, they're inserting the pill and tube down the other side of your mouth, down your throat. Feels kind of different. Wasn't too bad. It was a little uncomfortable, but I wouldn't say it hurt or anything. It's just kind of weird. You got something kind of like that, like you're about to gag, but not super strong gag reflex. Very, very mild discomfort. And then after they figure they got it all the way in, then they take a quick little x-ray. They make sure that it is in the right spot in your stomach, and then then you sit back down, and then they pump it full of liquid. I believe it's saline or just water, and they pump the balloon full. Then they give you another quick little x-ray to make sure the full balloon is in the right spot. And then if everything looks good, they basically yank out the tube quite quickly and quite painlessly. And then you're done. The doctor goes over any last little bit of information, and they box up the scale for me. I take the scale, and away I go. I would say I was probably in the clinic less than an hour. And that probably included 10 minutes in the waiting room. So it's a pretty quick and painless procedure. Like I said, a little bit of discomfort maybe, but nothing major. So then after that, I was feeling okay. So we actually went and did a little more shopping, had a couple farmers markets and stuff like that. But then it was starting to feel a little bit tired. So we headed back to the hotel, and I slept. And they did recommend sleeping kind of propped up a little bit, sleeping on an angle, I guess you could say. So I slept and I slept and I slept. I had a really good night's sleep. The next day I woke up, and we hopped in the car, and we headed back to Grand Prairie. On the road to Grand Prairie, all I basically did was drink water, lots and lots of water. You are supposed to take it easy for your first few days, so drinking mostly water and having broth and things like that, nothing too substantial. I, of course, didn't listen as much as I should, and that day I was good. So drove home, went home, and pretty much just drank some water, and I think I had a little bit of soup, like a light chicken soup with mushy noodles or something like that, and then hopped into bed. Again, slept really well. Well, the next day was a Sunday, and the next day was a company barbecue. So I headed to the barbecue, and of course, they had a nice barbecue going, all the fixings, steak, chicken, potatoes, salad, and all I could do was watch. They had some fruit, so I had some watermelon, which I chewed really well and swallowed without a problem. I did actually have a little bit of chicken, cut up really small, had some small bites again. Did okay. Nothing really bothered me. And I had a little bit of mashed potatoes as well. I figured mashed anything is going to be all right. So didn't eat too much, just ate a little bit. And then I headed home and then lived my life normally. The first week they tell you, not to go crazy. to basically watch what you eat. And yeah, what I did is my roommates picked up some Chinese food, so I got some wonton soup. So that's what I had, and I got a couple extra orders. So I had wonton soup that day. So basically it's a broth soup with some wonton noodles in there. Had that. That went down really well. Stomach felt fine. And I had that for the next couple of days. Oh, I did forget to tell you. I do apologize. The day after the procedure, so I was still in the hotel, the doctor actually called to check in the next morning. Made sure I was okay, did a follow-up, asked how I was feeling, how I was doing, what I was eating or drinking, and it was great. And then I believe he actually phoned me the following day after I got home as well. So they are very good and very thorough, and they kept calling me to make sure everything was all right. And then back in Grand Prairie, I did talk to the nutritionist from Slim Restore, and he set up a weekly call with me. So I have been talking to him every week, and he helps me with, we discuss, what my diet should be, what I should and shouldn't be eating. We discuss how I should be exercising, what types of exercise. And yeah, for the first week, really, you're not supposed to do any exercise. Just kind of supposed to take it a bit easy for the first week. So as my procedure was on a Friday, I waited till the following Saturday, so a week and a day, and that's when I started my exercise. So for exercise, I do have a a elliptical machine in the corner of my basement, and I've been hopping on an elliptical every day, and I will get into that more a little bit on our next video. But for now, I wanted to say the procedure was simple, it went quick, painless, and I'm very happy that I had it done so far. I'd like to take this point to remind you that if you like my story and are interested in hearing more of it, if you would kindly like and subscribe to my channel. And as I said, I'll be talking about my weight loss journey and about money and eyeglasses and a few other things. So please give me a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, back to the story. So as I told you, the doctor gave me a call, and everything was going well, and they recommended no exercise for the first week. And after the first week, I finally decided to start, I was allowed to start exercising. And the biggest thing I will say is after the first week is I decided to take exercise seriously. Now, not crazy seriously, but serious enough. I am not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. But believe it or not, ever since I had the procedure done and that first week passed by, I have been waking up early every morning and hopping on my elliptical. I do watch some YouTube videos. I follow a channel called r/, which she's got over 1 million people following him. So I'm sure you've heard of him. And he does 15-minute videos, usually 13, 15, 17-minute videos. So that's my exercise in the morning. I try to do at least the 15 minutes with him. If his videos are a bit shorter than 15 minutes, I will watch some shorts to make it up to the 15. If he goes longer than 15 minutes, let's say he's 17, I'll still watch some shorts and then bump myself up to 20. So I do 15 to 20 minutes every morning on my elliptical. And then I do some more exercise throughout the day, and I'll get back into that after. So I hope that helps a little bit. And if you're interested in getting the procedure done, it's not surgery. I like to say procedure. It's not surgery. There's no cutting. There's no stitches. There's no anesthetic involved. It's just you get to swallow something, and then it's inflated in your stomach, and it makes you eat less. That's the simple story. But there is so much more to it. Oh, and I was mentioning before, some people who've had bad experiences, I feel, went places or had people do the procedure and didn't do any follow-up. Slim Restore has been great. As I said, I talk to a nutritionist every week. He's my cheerleader, and he helps motivate me. We set goals, and every week, it's, even if I have I won't say bad week, but I don't know. I'm sure if you've lost weight before, you've been through what I'm going through. There are some days where, you exercise your heart out, you eat right, and then you hop on the scale and you really haven't lost any weight. That can get a little bit frustrating, and I'm sure my poor nutritionist has heard about it again and again and again. But eventually things do level out and the weight does go down. I've been what I would call a healthy weight loss. Now that first week, I'll admit I probably lost close to 10 pounds. But that was really just because when all you're doing is drinking water and having soup, and even for the couple days right after the surgery, right after the procedure, you barely eat anything at all, sure, your weight's going to drop. After that, though, I've been sticking to about 2 pounds a week, and I'm 99% sure that most doctors will tell you that's a pretty healthy amount to lose. So I'm aiming for 2 pounds a week. I want to hit 200. 200 is my goal. Maybe 195 to 205. Gives me a little bit of flexibility, but basically, if I can hit 200, I'll call this whole thing a huge success. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you today, and I want to remind you all, please be nice to somebody out there. Give somebody a compliment. Just simple. You're going through a cashier in a store, compliment them on their hair, their fingernails, their personality. Give somebody a compliment, and it brightens their day, brightens your day, and maybe they'll give somebody else a compliment. A little bit can go a long way, and it costs you nothing. So thank you so much. You guys all have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.